On the Autocar Show today, we unleash the Ford Mustang GT. Highlights from the Autocar Performance Show and a chat with CS Santosh.
This Dakar was one of the hardest they've done in South America.
A hot cup of chai at a dhaba, the open road, some of our favorite driving roads. That's what we have in store for you this week. We're going to drive from the city of Udaipur, thank you, down that lovely ghat, down the straight road to Ahmedabad and onto the little run of Kutch, where we're going to have an absolute ball. I just can't wait to get going. Let's see what the road's like. Did I tell you which car I'm driving? If there's one sports car you can happily tour the country in, it has to be the Mustang. Sure, you've got to be careful over some of the larger speed breakers, and the wheelbase is a bit too long at times, but it seats four, it's happy on a diet of regular, normal octane fuel, and it has a large boot, which makes it practical. The best bit, of course, is that brilliant monster of a V8 engine that just manages to shrink the distances. We've only just started, but when I flex the long travel accelerator, I can feel every one of those horses pulling the car forward. And when I lift off, the noise just widens and sounds like a Second World War bomber following me. It's just a lovely rumble. Before I know it, we are well up to speed. The kilometers are just flying by. Our first halt is a sort of museum called Dungarpur Muse, 125 kilometers outside Udaipur. It's a bit of a detour, 20 kilometers off the main highway, but look at this little museum here. It's absolutely gorgeous. You have complete cars on one side and cars which are being restored on the other. And you can just tell by looking and walking around this place that this place is put together by someone who absolutely loves cars. It's an absolute joy to be here. If you're a car enthusiast and you're driving along this highway, I absolutely recommend that you make the stop. It's fantastic. Udaipur's Palace, Dungarpur, is a small palace by Udaipur standards, but it's equally charming and the palace is well maintained. A few kilometers later, the road begins to drop away. It's a cart with long, sweeping fast corners that tighten up on themselves, and the Mustang is up for the job. On a long drive like this, what you really appreciate in this car is that big 5-liter V8 engine. It's got tons and tons of torque, just pulls from anywhere in the RPM band. And the great part about this American V8 is that it pulls all the way to 7,000 RPM. So that last bit, 5 to 7, is just incredible. incredibly strong. It's creamy, it's smooth, there's plenty of punch there, and you can go past 4 trucks at a time, which is just an incredible pleasure. I just love using this V8, I love extending it, and I also love driving it at a really sedate and smooth pace. Now the other thing with a lusty big V8 like this is the fact that the gearing is so tall. Now I'm doing around 100, 110, and the engine's barely turning over at around 1600 or 1700 RPM. And it just feels so effortless and creamy smooth. It's just a joy to cover miles. With the motor barely ticking over, this car's just eating up the road. There we go again, that creamy, smooth, really hard power delivery. Woof! What an engine. Now at speed, the Mustang is nicely settled in corners, it has a fair amount of grip, and you do get a lot of confidence from behind the wheel. But having said that, when you want to extend it fully, when you want to drive it hard, when you want to really push it, it just feels a bit loose. There's not as much confidence from behind the wheel as you'd like there to be. And as a result, you sort of tend to, well, take it a bit too easy with it. But performance isn't the only requirement of a GT car. Now, a GT car like this, or a grand touring car, the ride is actually quite important. You want to be comfortable in the car. You don't want to be smashed around by a rock-hard racing car suspension. And the Mustang does really well in this area. It soaks up our roads well. It manages to go through most of our bumps without crashing. And though it is very comfortable, if you do go over a really large bump, yes, there is a bit of a crash, but that's only to be expected. So the thing to do is drive naturally for most parts, but if you see something that's really terrible, this isn't the SUV, so absolutely do not go through it flat out. Simple, but it works. Now we've come down from the hills, from that lovely 2-lane path, and onto much straighter and faster roads. And the Mustang is actually more at home here. Of course, it isn't as fun as those roads, but every time you see a bunch of traffic and you want to get past it, 2 clicks, put your foot down, and there, history. Now this road we're on leads right into Ahmedabad, but of course we won't be going into the city. We'll be using the ring road to take a right and go on towards Zasada. On the way, there's a lovely little car museum which we're going to see. It's actually quite big. It belongs to the late Pranlal Bhogilal, the vintage and classic car collector, and it's a really, really eclectic collection. It's got all sorts of vintage and classics, and I hope we're not there too late in the night. Late evening, but we made it, and we're here at the Auto World Museum, where there are 106 vintage and classic cars. The museum was started by the late Pranlal Bhogilal, and it's an absolutely eclectic collection with cars you just won't believe. I'm sure there are a few $1 million cars here, and if you're an enthusiast and you're passing by this way, you absolutely have to take at least half a day off to see these cars. As expected, light is fading as we head for our night halt at the Ran Riders Resort in Dasada that sits at the edge of the little Ran of Kutch. The next morning, we're up at 5. We want to catch the sunrise, and as we discover, the effort is well worth it. This place is just insane. If you're wondering, the Ran is actually a shallow salt marsh that begins to dry up towards the end of the year, leaving a flat desert expanse that is said to be amongst the largest of its kind in the world. Home to the Indian wildlife, we see quite a few of these relatives of the prehistoric horse with their beautiful fawn and white markings. But it's the other wild horse that also has our interest today. And what a playground the Mustang has to itself here. V8 fired up, traction control and ESP off. I'm soon flying around and kicking up a dust storm. sand is still a bit damp beneath us, so I have to stick to the dry path. But near the verges, I do spot some nice, hard, flat surfaces. And it's here where power slides and some drifts naturally follow. With over 400 horsepower at the rear wheels, the Mustang is just so easy to slide, it's an absolute blast. Have you ever experienced the beauty of the run-up Kutch at sunrise? Ever stood on dry land and experienced a 360-degree view of the horizon with just the sun coming up and nothing before you but flat earth? Yes, this place is absolutely magical. You just have to make it here. And if you do, make sure you get a fun car. Even a blast from behind the wheel.
For 4 days, from the 19th to the 22nd of January, Mumbai hosted its hottest collection of cars, bikes and gadgets. This is the Autocar Performance Show 2017, a one-stop shop for all things automotive, be they exotic supercars, normal everyday cars and motorcycles. The Autocar Performance Show 2017 began with a buzz as Bollywood's favorite car and bike enthusiast, John Abraham, lit the inaugural lamp.
It's a huge passion for me, and I'm very excited to see what the show has to offer. And from what I hear, it's been a fantastic show. So I'm here.
The Autocar Performance Show has something for everyone, be it the enthusiast or the buyer. And there were loads of cars on displays. Those walking in were greeted by two of the hottest supercars around, the Lamborghini Huracan and the Porsche 911. Cameras were clicking away as people got closer to the cars they could normally only see on the screen.
My favorite Porsche 911. They didn't allow me to go inside. It's okay because it's a new car.
There were many and impressive cars for buyers to feast their eyes on, such as the Ford Mustang and the Nissan GTR. Both were drawing crowds not only for the visual delight that they were, but also for the auditory experience that they provided. People descended upon them every time the V8 and the V6 respectively were revved. Walking further, people could check out a host of other vehicles, including the Bentley Flying Spur and the Mercedes AMGs. While the big boys were attracting attention, there was also one small car rousing a lot of interest. Tons of people wanted to check out the freshly launched Maruti Ignis. Across the aisle, Tata's just launched Hexa was garnering its own fan following. Both of these everyday cars attracted hordes of curious customers. The Autocar Performance Show was also the venue for the launch of special variants of some cars, such as the Renault Kwid Live for More Edition, the Mahindra KUV Anniversary Edition, and the titanium variant of the Ford EcoSport. This was the first time customers could check out these variants. The noisiest and most happening stall of all, though, was Big Boy Toys, arguably India's most well-known used supercar dealers. Their constant contests kept customers engaged, especially with the allure of prizes.
This is the first time we are visiting this car exhibition show, and we have checked the different varieties of new models which are available in the market, and it is a good show.
Very high-end cars have come compared to many shows which I have witnessed in Delhi as well as here. This is a much bigger representation of Indian pavilion as well as the pavilion from abroad.
APS also had a lot for those who prefer two-wheeled vehicles, ranging from exotics such as the Suzuki Hayabusa and Triumph Rocket 3 to the newly launched Bajaj Dominar 400 and TVS's off-road motorcycles. But for those who always dreamt of owning or riding a dirt bike, there was a treat in store. TVS had installed a virtual reality simulation kit hooked up to one of these off-road motorcycles that allowed customers to sit on one and get some inkling of what it might feel like to be on a dirt track.
What I love the most about this experience is it is much more better than the last one.
and I personally love bikes more. So I've really had my share over there. The interesting part is that they rev the bikes so that everyone goes to the stall.
But for those who couldn't handle only looking at cars, there were opportunities for them to also get behind the wheel of them. Autocar Performance Show offered live experiences such as the Tata Hexa 4x4 experience and Maruti Suzuki Autocross. The Hexa was strutting its stuff, climbing over many an obstacle, allowing customers to get a first-hand experience of its off-roading capabilities.
I got to ride in a Hexa and got to go through a lot of obstacle course that was, they have placed some good obstacles out here to show you the feature set of the car, and I was totally impressed with that. I mean, it handled so well, and I was able to, I did not feel any jerk or anything despite going through all those difficult obstacles.
It's a good experience for all of us to have a live experience of whichever new cars come, and the best part is about the Hexa test drive here. I'm amazed with the car, indeed, the suspension, the traction, everything, even the four-wheel and the auto transmission modes which are got in the features now.
Hardcore petrolheads could also try their hand at amateur racing at the Maruti Suzuki Autocross. As a bunch of Marutis, as well as a few of other cars, blazed around corners and cones, kicking up clouds of dust, the competitive spirit of motorsport was once again in the air. And just like that, the 4-day car and bike extravaganza that is the Autocar Performance Show 2017 has come to an end. We hope to see you again next year with an even larger selection of cars, bikes and gadgets.
Treacherous terrain, excruciating hours, and a multitude of weather patterns. The 2017 Dakar Rally certainly lived up to its reputation as being tough. Though the rally was won by Red Bull KTM's Sam Sunderland, an Indian made his mark at the finish line as well. For the second time in 3 years, CS Santosh completed the Dakar, finishing a modest 47th on the brand new Hero Motorsport Team Rally's Speed Brain 450.
Now, all of this is a matter of great national pride, and we've got the man of the moment here with us, CS Santosh. So Santosh, can you enlighten us a little bit on your whole 2017 Dakar experience?
To sum it up, I think this Dakar was one of the hardest they've done in South America. It was a lot different from what I had imagined it to be, considering that I've been to the Dakar 2 times and I'd heard and seen what they've done in Dakar previous years in South America. So I would say it was definitely one of the hardest Dakars.
Okay, and how was the bike?
Yeah, so this is the first outing for us with Hero, and the motorcycle was flawless. We never had any problems, and it's remarkable that me and Gerard both finished the Dakar having only these 2 bikes on the line, so it was really encouraging stuff for us.
But do you feel there are any small areas of improvement with this bike?
Yeah, I think you're going to see a huge change, because now that we're done with the Dakar, we actually have a new bike that's coming out. The new bike's going to be, I think it's the next generation, so I'm really excited to see.
Now, since you've done the Dakar Rally twice, and you've gotten a whole feel of what the rally is about, do you feel there are any areas that you could improve to make yourself more competitive in this?
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole goal, to go to the Dakar and be competitive. This year, actually, I've ridden the best I've ever ridden. The results don't show it, but the thing is that I have a lot of areas I need to improve. I think I need to be a lot stronger going to the next Dakar, because it's so technical. So when the tracks are so technical, it takes a lot of energy to be able to ride, and I don't think I was there 100%.
Now, since you've also got one more Indian manufacturer that's competing in the Dakar, do you see it as a form of healthy competition, or would it actually help promote motorsport more in India?
I was hoping that KP would actually make the finish for the first Dakar, but unfortunately he didn't. But it's really good that TVS is involved at the Dakar as well, and to have 2 guys that are competing against each other and 2 manufacturers pitted against each other, it's great for everybody involved in the sport. So yeah, it keeps it interesting.
And are you going to be doing next year's Dakar as well?
Yeah, it's a plan. The thing is, yeah, so this Dakar I did a lot. I mean, there was a lot of learning to take away from this Dakar. I'm really excited for the next Dakar, because when I did the Dakar for the first time, we were just about finishing it. I never really pushed or tested my boundaries. And this Dakar, I did kind of test the water and see what it took to be competitive. And I know what it's going to take to be competitive. So I'm really excited for next year.
And could you just give us a little bit of an idea of the preparation that goes into the Dakar?
Well, the Dakar is extremely difficult rally because physically and mentally it takes a huge toll. You know, as athletes, as riders, we're out there 400, 500 kilometers, you know, on a special, which is like really grueling and demanding. And when you have so much time by yourself without anybody around, it's difficult. So I think physically and mentally, it's a really demanding sport. And yeah, for that you need to prepare like an athlete. Like I train a lot on the bicycle, in the gym, on the motorcycle. It's like a full year program that you have to put together to be ready for the Dakar.
And now, since you have completed the Dakar, I'm sure you're going to need a little bit of a break. But when do you think you're going to again start preparing for your next race?
Well, I wish I was sitting here and telling you that I'm going on a holiday, but I have to actually race the Desert Storm. You know, I'm really excited because it's the first race that Hero's going to do here in India. So maybe after that I'll take a small break.
I think well-earned break.
Yeah, thanks.
Anyway, congratulations, Santosh.
Thanks.
Thank you for all of this. All the best with all your future races.
Yeah, we'll see you guys soon.
Yes.
Thanks.